I'm Sky.
I'm Finn.
I'm Delaney.
I'm Harrison.
And we are
And we're
And we are
And we're
Blue Crew Broadcast.
Hello, Braves, and welcome to our second podcast. I'm Sky.
I'm Finn.
And so today, our agenda, we're going to be reviewing the Brave Bonanza and Senior Sunrise and making a couple announcements. And then our topic for today is music, and we will be having a special guest on. She is a fellow student and she is a music creator. So with that, we'll get started. So today, we are recording on a Monday, Senior Sunrise. Had to get up super early for that. A little bit tired.
Yeah, in my case, I actually got up late. I woke up at 5:50 this morning, and for the record, I was supposed to be at the school at 5. So, yeah, even though school's still online, I guess that one experience kind of reminded me of like the vitality of making sure that your phone's not on do not disturb when your alarm's going off. And yeah, I'm glad I drove safe, and I'm glad I got there in time. And even though the sun kind of rose while I was driving down Baseline, I personally had a really good time. It was great to see my senior class in a pretty safe manner, and it was great to see my friends. So,
Yeah.
how was your experience?
It was good. I did photography most of the time for yearbook and social media. So I was up in like the stadium stands and walking around. So it was like fun because I got to see everyone. A little tiring for it being so early in the morning though. But
Yeah.
it was nice to see everyone. And like you said, seeing our senior class because we don't get to see everyone very often anymore. So it was a good experience for sure.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we had, like, even though it wasn't for a long period of time, like given COVID restrictions and all, it was still good to just have that essence of like being able to get out there. And like, as someone who takes this pandemic like really seriously, um, I'm just glad that for the most part, like people were respectful and we were able to put these things on, which is why we were also able to put on last week's Brave Bonanza. So last Thursday, October 29th, ASB, along with all the other events at Alsalama, put on the Brave Bonanza. And this was kind of something unheard of for our school. And I think it went off really well. And if you weren't there, it was somewhat of a drive-through trunk-or-treat haunted house bonanza, or boo-nanza, as they really like puns up in our school. And so I was there with a few of my friends in ASB representing ASB special events, and we decked out our car in like as to be a graveyard, and we were dressed up like zombies. And it was really cool because I got to scare a few of my friends, like from jumping from my back seat and like pushing down the gravestones, and it was pretty theatrical, kind of fun. And I think the best part of the night was just seeing how many people came who weren't even related to the school. Like it was just a young couple with a few kids who, like, you know, didn't really have the chance to trick or treat this year. But I'm really glad that we put some form of normalcy while upholding safety above all. And I'm just really proud of this school's ingenuity for being able to put that on successfully.
Yes, so many people. I like you said, so many people came. Beforehand, I was talking to Brown Bridge, and he was like, "We're expecting people from like Riverside County coming," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I think someone got a rough count, and it was like almost 500 cars, and like within those cars, most of the cars were filled with people, and so it was a great turnout for sure. I was repping for choir, and then also doing photography again for that. So it was really fun. Like personally, since I was doing photography, I was able to see all of the cars and I took pictures of everyone. So it was really fun to see all the school spirit, because I feel like that's something that everyone is missing right now, is that school spirit. And it was just really nice to see that everyone was still wanting to do something during this time, and the fact that it was pretty safe and for the most part pretty socially distanced made it worthwhile. Definitely fun. So it was an experience along with Senior Sunrise. And I think um, as the year goes on, we can thank ASB like for those two events and other events that they have going on, like the movie drive-in that is being planned in December, and I believe it is on the 6th. So time is TBD for that, but December 6th drive-in. Another thing for our school to be looking forward to.
Yeah, and we'll have the dates and times and information. We'll get that out to you as soon as possible. It's kind of weird being like newscasters for all of this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so with that recap of what's going on, a bit of a weather forecast, even though I don't know if I could put meteorologist on my resume. But what I can put on my resume and what Sky and I will be talking about is our experiences as musicians. And so I understand this is kind of like, to our audience, this is kind of just levels of small talk. And I hope you guys get to know us well. And why don't we get started with our experience as musicians? So, Sky,
Yes.
if you will, introduce the first topic.
Well, if we can start off with our experiences. I personally am a singer songwriter, but I also play a little bit of piano and a little bit of guitar. I've been into music my entire life, but actually performing and in choir and advanced choir and competing, I would say, for about the past 8 years. It's one of my biggest passions. Love it, absolutely do. What about you, Finn? What part of music are you into?
So this might come as a little surprising because I don't exactly look the part, but I actually am a saxophonist, specifically tenor saxophone, and I've been playing since about 6th grade, so coming up on my 6th year. And within that time, I'd say primarily I've been a jazz student. Really proud to be a member of our school's jazz band and have been since 7th grade is when I joined my first jazz band. And alongside that, I'm also in marching band, where I've been in program for 3 years. I joined my sophomore year. And this year, if the world was normal, I would be leading the band as an assistant drum major. So, I'd say the root of my music experience comes from my education and the programs offered at school, but also outside of school. I'm in my own band, which is kind of weird to say, and this whole topic gets weirder as I go more in depth. But it's actually my brother's band where he plays bass guitar, and the rest of the band is kind of like a typical rock band. 2 guitars, singer, drummer, and bassist, and then throw a sax in there. And all I can say is you make music. And it's funny that last week before we recorded that episode, I was actually in the studio with them, and we were there from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. So as I mentioned before, I should probably get a better sleeping schedule before I record these. But yeah.
I think that's something like people who either aren't super passionate about music or aren't a musician at all, they don't understand how much time a musician puts into their work, because you just hear the ending result and they're like, oh yeah, that's pretty. But as a musician, like as you just said, you were in the studio for hours upon hours. And I can say I spend hours upon hours writing songs and then not liking them, or just practicing songs, learning notes. So it takes a lot of time, but for me personally,
Yeah.
it's worth it as a passion.
And this isn't to discourage anyone who's like potentially interested in music, like
Oh yeah.
has a guitar on the side of their shelf, but we can't really emphasize like how much passion is. And I mean, like how much effort, grit, and determination is required for those who just, for some it's a hobby, for some it's a lifestyle, but I think for everybody, it's just something that we want to do for ourselves and for other people. And just, I think what Skylar brought up about like what goes on behind the scenes. In marching band, we are not just your halftime entertainment, but like there's just so much time and like so much effort and like the amount of hours I'd spend. Like we have 0 periods, so I'd have to show up to the school at like 7, and then we'd have practice after, so I wouldn't leave till like 8 that night practically. And yeah, it's just all for the sake of like getting these things to the last perfect detail. And it creates something beautiful, and just that humongous process is something that I think it just being able to perform it and just show the world how much effort you put into this, it's just a really cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like definitely me saying how many hours we put into it isn't to discourage anyone, because if it's like something you want to pursue or it is something you pursue, it's definitely worth it. I think it's something that benefits anyone and everyone who does it in so many other like areas of your life, other than just like being able to say I'm a musician. Like personally, it helps me cope. Like through quarantine, music has been the one thing that's like helped me through it, and it helps me focus. Like there's so many benefits to music, and I think it's just something amazing. And when it's created and you have all these components and like it's just, I love it. And being able to like pick apart a song down to like the notes is just amazing to me.
It's really difficult to put into words what, like just taking acknowledgement of it and how your listening experience is completely morphed by like your playing and vice versa. Like you start to play or perform the same way that like those who inspire you do. So you kind of take a note out of their book, but also just the idea of music. It's such a natural, all-encompassing force that we find in everything, in like the backgrounds of like TV shows and music. If we go on a 5-minute grocery trip, we can't leave without our favorite playlist. It's always there, and it's just such a beautiful path to pursue. And yeah, it is quite unique.
Yes, definitely. So as a musician, what would you say is like, where do you find your inspiration?
For me, I as I said before, I don't look the part because I never really considered listening to saxophonists. Like I grew up with like classic rock and hard rock, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to translate a lot of like what I listen to into what I play, but I think that's part of the fun things about it. Like I have pretty good um influences from like outlandish sources, but through quarantine, I'd say my just love of jazz has actually grown with the amount of people that I've listened to via like big bands with like groups of horns or just soloists. And yeah, it's something that like it just makes me want to get back out there, which is like kind of the hardest part of all of this. But like,
Yeah,
you just gotta not take time for granted, I guess. And
that's
what
very
about
true.
you, Sky?
I don't know. I'm one of those people who like love all type of music. I feel like that's so cliche to say, but it's so true. Um, and so for me, I would say like being able to listen to like something like rock and then going to country, which is like completely opposite almost. But being able to like tie those two together and then kind of create my own, I want to say vibe, but like my own interpretation of it is what I would say like inspires me most with music and what keeps me going. And like you said, wanting to be out there, because as a musician and just like a performer overall, like that's what we feed off of, is like that audience. And it really sucks not being able to have that right now, but like I think we can both relate that since it's such a big passion of ours, it's not something we're just gonna like give up because we don't have that ending result right now. So
A little known fun fact is that Sky and I are actually members of our school's improv troupe. And it's kind of funny. I don't know. I just felt like pointing that out because we're talking about the amount of planning that goes into our music, but we're in improv with, I don't know, just an irony I thought I'd point out. But
overall,
okay, wait. You're wearing an ACDC shirt too? Oh my
are,
god.
are you?
Yeah. Like I don't know if it's mirrored, but that's really funny. Oh my god.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Wow. That was pretty funny to realize. Like just the whole discussion of music and all. But yeah, I guess that means we're just fit for the job. We're on the same wavelength, you know.
Honestly. So with that, I feel like we kind of covered a lot with that discussion. If you viewers, if you guys want to hear more about me and Finn and our music paths, or just more in depth about it, you can always send us questions through our Instagram or Twitter. Well, Instagram, which is at Blue Crew Broadcast. And we can always have a music part 2 later down the road if that is what you guys want. But now we will be able to talk to our special guest for this week, who will be here in a few minutes. So yeah, well, next time we'll see you, we'll be with our guest person. I don't know.
So welcome back, Blue Crew. Even though that was probably not really a break in the final recording, but we're back and it's been 2 minutes. Wow. Today we have special guest from the student body and who's been producing her own content throughout quarantine. And her name is Taylor Yee. She's a senior at Alta Loma. She's been going all 4 years. And we have a couple of questions for her, mostly the same that we asked each other. And let's get started, shall we?
Yes.
So-
Hello. My name is Taylor. Hi. Thank you for having me.
It's great.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, of course.
So we sent out a poll, like a question on Instagram, and had the student body get back to us on what they wanted to hear from you. So with that, I can ask our first question. All of our questions this week were anonymous. So the first question we have is, have you ever started making a song and then end up trashing it at the end?
Yes, 100%. There was like a couple, some of them, one example is on my recent album called It Must Be the Weather. Like I hated it. I did not like it. And I was like, what am I going to do? Because I kind of already spent a long time on it. But I just ended up putting it in because my friend said it was good. But there's a couple songs where I'm like, I just don't even use it, even though I spent like hours writing it or like composing it. So yeah, 100%.
So with like a little follow-up on that, you said your album was named what? I'm sorry.
Everything will be okay.
Oh, that's adorable. And maybe put in a little plug real quick. Where can our viewers listen in to you?
Oh my God. It's everywhere. You can see it on YouTube and Spotify, and it's even on Apple Music and iTunes. And you can listen to it on Instagram and TikTok. You just have to look up my name, Ejin, so Aejin. Yeah, that's my Korean name, so that's what I use.
I'll pop that up on the screen, edit it in.
Thank you.
Awesome. So,
and our next question is, how do you get inspired to write? Like, what makes it different from where you're sitting there and suddenly you're like, write that down? Like, what's that process like?
Okay, so this is kind of funny, but I get really depressed, and that's when I make my songs. But so like either I'll just be playing like my guitar, and like if I find like pretty chords or whatever, then I'm like, okay, I need to make a song out of this. Or sometimes if I'm just like feeling really sad and like I just want to convey that in like maybe like music, I guess, then that's when I would write my song. Um, yeah. Sometimes I don't have that many happy songs, but when I feel like I want to either like thank my friends or whatever, then that's like on also another like motive for like writing the song.
Yeah, emotions really do play a factor into how your songs turn out.
They do.
Okay, so our next question is what made you go into music and art? Because I know that you're obviously a musician, but you're also an artist. So, how did you get into both of those?
Yes. Cause okay, so when I was very little, I didn't really have like, cause I was with my grandparents, so then it's we can't really do much because I can't like play with them or whatever. So my brother got me an origami kit, and like that's what I would use. Like I would just fold my own toys and stuff, and then I would just like trace like I had these really cute memo pads and had like designs on them, and I was like, you know what, that's a cute character, let me draw that, and I would like trace it or whatever, and that's kind of how I started like tracing and then using references. And then I don't know, with like middle school and elementary school, when you had like those art projects, I would have fun with those. Like I don't know, they were really fun, and that's kind of how I started. And then people started asking me to like draw things for them. So I was like, you know what? Like I really enjoy drawing. And that's how I've been continuing. Yeah. And then for music, because I've always been playing for my church. And then I never really had the urge to like write my own song until like, something really sad happened. So like that's what happened. But yeah, because I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but I would write poems. I like writing poems. So then that became into like my song. So that's kind of like the journey, I guess. Very broken up.
Very nice.
Yeah, I think above all, whatever you're passionate about, it should be something you enjoy doing, you know. I like that you mentioned the origami thing. I'm probably not nearly as good as you are, but I
Oh
remember
my
making
god.
origami Star Wars characters. That's it's a cool like hobby. It's a cool skill to have. Just like, sometimes I'll just be at my desk during all this and I'll just make a few cranes out of sticky notes. But
Yes.
the next question is kind of similar to the one I just asked, but it's more so, where does your inspiration come from? Like from other people, from other artists? Like what exactly? Who are your inspirations?
I feel like it's a mix because sometimes when I'm like doing covers of songs and just the song has like really nice chord progressions, then I'm like, oh, I kind of want to like do something with that. Or if I hear like Frank Ocean, you know how he has those like, I don't know if they're called interludes, but at the end, like he changes the beat or like he changes the entire song. I'm like, I want to do that. And then I try to do that. And like that's kind of like one inspiration. And then I don't know, like I would listen to the like artists that I like, and if they have like a particular thing or a sound or like a chord or like the meaning, I'm like, I kind of want to like kind of replicate that. Um, my inspiration mostly comes from, of course, my life and like my experiences, and then sometimes it's just what I see, like my friends are like having trouble with. So yeah.
Nice. Awesome. So as you're talking, I can see in your background your guitars.
Oh yeah.
And so that is actually our next question is what kind of guitar do you use? And I see you have two. So do you want to
Yeah.
introduce them to us?
Yes. Hold on. Let me grab because I have another one on my bed. Because I'll be back. Wait. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. So my acoustic guitar is a Yamaha APX 503. This was like I used to have a really old guitar, But then my dad was like, you know what, we're buying you a new one. So this is like I guess my second and my most beloved one, because like this is where I pretty much learned how to like play guitar and stuff. And then I just recently got an electric guitar, and I wanted one for like 1,000 years. So that one is a Yamaha. I don't really know anything else about it, but yeah. And then that's my bass. I suck at the bass, but like I know how to play the root notes. So I mean, yay. That's a Fender Squire P bass, and yeah.
I've always
pretty much-
wanted an electric. I have an acoustic, but electric is next on my list for sure.
I know. It's so cool. I'm like, oh my god. Oh, and then my amp. It's called an Eden, but I don't know. My dad just got it, so I'm like, okay. It's pretty good though. It has like gain and everything. So
Very nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty like, not to, I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way, but it's
That's
like
okay.
a fairly small setup. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of funny because like with my musician family, like I don't even play guitar, but we have like 20, and it's like
Oh my god.
you can tell we're like, yeah, they like guitars. But yeah, I mean, okay, I'm gonna cut this out because that was awkward. Okay, say action. The first saxophone I played was a Yamaha, and it's kind of funny that like I talk about this with other people, but Yamaha just makes everything. Like they make
do.
so many things. Like they make
really do.
motorcycles. Like that was so weird to find out.
Oh yeah.
But, yeah.
And it's like good quality too. Like I have my acoustics a Yamaha too, and I was like, is it gonna be good? And it actually is really good quality. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, but it's really impressive that like you've been doing this for like pretty decent amount of time, and the fact that like it's two guitars and then you have the bass, and that's extraordinarily impressive.
Thank you.
And so our next question is, and you can address this before the before times, you know, when things were
Yeah.
good, or you can just pertain to it how it's been since March. And the question is, what's the biggest challenge you face when making music?
Well, for me personally, it's because like I'm not that skilled in like the guitar or whatever. So I feel like all my music sounds the same, or like I have the same exact like because I try to do like finger picking, but then that's really hard, and I just do strumming, but then I feel like my strumming is just the same. So I guess I'm afraid that my music all sounds the same, or like I don't want it to sound the same as like songs that I get inspiration from and stuff like that. That's a big problem. And then my lyrics sometimes like it's meaningful to me, but I also want it to be meaningful to other people. So I'm like trying to figure out how to write that, which is kind of hard sometimes. So yeah.
definitely.
Oh,
I
and
get-
also keep going.
You can go, Taylor.
Oh, okay. Because like I try to add like beats or drums to my music, but I don't know anything about that like rhythm and whatever. So I'm like, this is you know what? If it sounds good, I'll just put it in. But I'm pretty sure if you just don't listen too close, because it's not going to be right or whatever. But that's also another problem. I think just like being under experienced is like a problem for me.
I think it's still really impressive for being 17, a senior in high school, and being able to produce your own music and like putting it out as much as you do. I think like that's just amazing. For sure.
Crazy.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that concludes our questions, but is there anything else you want to talk about on your personal experience or personal behalf with your music?
Well, I think I would like to let people know that if they ever need help with like, I guess, uploading their music or anything like that, I could probably help them. I actually helped someone like just recently like put up her song on SoundCloud and whatever. So yeah, if you have any questions, and you want to like put out music or like write your own music, I can help you kinda. I will motivate you and stuff. Yes.
Awesome. And if our viewers want to hear from Taylor and her music, I will make sure to put her Spotify, YouTube, and her links down in the bio, so you can go check that out. That's as far as people who tune in on YouTube. But with that, thank you so much, Taylor, for stopping in and
Thank
talking
you.
to us.
Yes,
Definitely had
thank
fun.
you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was great to have you, and I hope that like our audience like really takes advantage of your help, because it's very impressive, and have the feeling that you could help a lot of people.
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely.
You guys are so nice. Oh my god.
Thus concludes our second ever episode of the Blue Crew podcast. Broadcast. Still getting used to the name.
It's
Still
okay.
getting used to a lot of things, but yeah, it's really great being here, and it's really great for all of us to share about something we care about, and it's really great to have people to share that to. So you, unnamed viewer, thank you as always for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode with Harrison and Delaney, where they will discuss an undisclosed topic because it's top secret. But for now, that's all from us.
And if you want to continue to listen to our podcasts, or you missed last week's podcast, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube, which is at Blue Crew Broadcast, or follow us on Spotify, which is also Blue Crew Broadcast. And we are posting stuff pretty frequently on our socials, which include Instagram and Twitter. Our Instagram is at Blue Crew Broadcast, and our Twitter is, I think it's B Crew Broadcast. All those links will be in the bio. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in.
That's all from us. Stay brave, Altaloma.
It'll be alright. It'll be alright. Be alright. Feel like a time.